you that could, have a very different outcome. So you want to be careful of that. But with the right personality, you can ask them questions on how they became a network engineer, things that you could do, things you could learn, and that sort of thing. Stick around and watch during network changes. So if I'm or some network engineers making a VLAN change, yeah, kind of watch over their shoulder, see how they do that, how they do certain commands and things like that. Take notes. Many of them, like myself, I definitely don't mind that. Sometimes I get them involved if I'm doing something that's very routine. But also understand this: you need to appreciate their time, and the time that you're spending with them. Because remember them, they have their own life as well. I mean, they're probably pursuing like another CCIE, or they got their kids' baseball game, whatever their time is. Appreciate their time. Don't just, come to them and ask them 20 billion questions. You need to come prepared yourself. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. You have to be motivated. You have to want this. Okay, only you can walk across the finish line. I can't do that for you, or someone else can do that. You have to say, I want this, and working and talking with network engineers or watching this video is just kind of some information, some suggestions on what I can do to take that next step. So appreciate their time. Try to seek a NOC level position where you can get exposed to networking devices. This is actually very good because a lot of people have a hard time getting an actual hardcore network engineering position. It's difficult. So what they do is they apply for like a NOC level, which is a Network Operations Center position, where they get exposure not to just servers, but to maybe firewalls, maybe also to networking devices. And this is where most people kind of end up, and they kind of from there, they kind of venture out and do maybe servers or network or even security. So getting that, so finding that on some job sites like Dice or Monster, start looking for things like that. Something that gives you exposure to networking devices. Take advantage of your resources and information presented within the company. If you're working for a company, for a, let's say you're working for Merrill Lynch, and you have access to network diagrams, and you know how things are set up in terms of OSPF and BGP, try to replicate that at your home lab. Try to figure out how that's configured and why it's configured this way. Talk to the network engineers, or just kind of figure it out yourself. Take advantage of that, because if you're getting hands-on knowledge to an actual enterprise network, that will lead you so far that during an interview process, the technical personnel will be very impressed that you have that level of knowledge. Take advantage of your resources. Just don't say, oh, I got a diagram here, it's not important to me. That's very important, because you can learn from that and replicate it in your home lab. Try to seek random basic side networking jobs or projects for low cost. Very basic stuff, like let's say that maybe your church needs an internet connection. Well, that's a very simple job. You can definitely go ahead and learn it for a low cost, even for free if you want. And if something doesn't work out, you give them a timetable and they can just go ahead and hire somebody. No big deal. But try to choose very basic small jobs, and you will realize that the more you do it, you get more confident, more comfortable. It gives you exposure with working with real life networks that you can reference and put onto your resume. The other thing is resume building and references. Start building your resume with it being organized with your career objective. Really start getting it really nice. Get your certification logos onto your resume. One person made a comment that certification logos on resumes does nothing. That is incorrect, and I'll tell you why. An interviewer, a company, will have many resumes. Okay, everybody and their mama just about knows frame relay. They have BGP on their resume, they have ATM on their resume, they have ACLs on their resume. They have all these things on your resume. Okay, everyone has that, but something has to stand out. So for me, I have my CCIE logo on there. So when the dot-com bust happened in the 1990s, I was working for a dot-com company, and I kind of said, okay, 5 rounds of layoffs has occurred. My job is still safe, but I need to look for something more secure. So I start looking for jobs, and I submitted, say, hey, I'm a CCIE, and I got a call within a week, and start working for a financial company that has national and international locations because my resume stood out among the other 20. And some of those in there were CCIEs. The key thing is you want to have that to get your foot into the door. The rest of it is up to you, and that's what we talked about from the previous slide of practice, being humble, comfortable, and confident. So if someone says that's not true, though, um, remember, personality watch, take nothing personal, and just take that feedback and interpret it the way that you want to interpret it, though. But there definitely are uses for it, though. You want to get your foot into the door. That's what the certification definitely provides. Okay? Proof of concepts. You want to do as much proof of concepts as possible. So when you put OSPF on your resume, well, try to configure OSPF in your home lab. So you can say, I configured it, I know the show commands, I know what it looks like. It's just not in my head and based on concepts. I can actually implement this in my lab. So you do some of those aspects, all of those things, in terms of your first steps of becoming a network engineer. Now, during this time, you will very likely you'll probably get a lot of exposure to doing networking. And when that happens, you want to consider the next steps. This is also considered for other network engineers that has been doing this for a long time and want to make that next